especially if I'm going to be late to pick him up from school or someone else is going to take him, then I could just text him.
Yeah.
I want my kids to be social and have friends and feel included.
They fund their phone themselves. They pay their monthly fee. That's what they got to do. That's the privilege of having a smartphone.
That is our parent panel that you just heard from. So when it comes to cell phones, for most parents or teachers, you know, it's a pretty contentious hot topic, whether it has to do with the dangers of having one or the age your child should get a smartphone. You know, 45% of U.S. children between the age of 10 and 12 have their very own smartphone with a service plan. About 22% of them got that phone around the age of 10, 15% between the ages of 9 and 11, and 16% at the age of 8. So we talked to that parent panel made up of local parents. Here's what they had to say.
Once my oldest went to high school and wasn't in the school area, my youngest was a little anxious about, you know, whether if I was going to be late and so I got her the pay-as-you-go, you know, so all she could do was really text me, call me.
Call mom.
We took into account the social piece, too, that friends were having it, and I want my kids to be social and have friends and feel included.
So my oldest was 10, my youngest was 9, and it was really, for me, it was all about when they weren't going to be with me. I'm like, if you're with me all the time, you don't need a phone. But then when you're not, especially if I'm going to be late to pick him up from school or someone else is going to take him, then I could just text him. So for me, it's more about that communication. And my girls.
Child psychologist Dr. Cheryl Ziegler is here in studio with us to discuss some of the things on parents' minds right now.
All right, Dr. Ziegler, you know, one of the biggest questions that parents have in mind is, what is the perfect age to give your kid a phone?
Well, there's probably no perfect age, but you know your own kid, you know your own schedules. So we are seeing kids around the age of 12 get phones, and what I advocate, which kids roll their eyes at, is that maybe that's not a smartphone. It's just a phone, so that parents can communicate, just like the mom was saying, and then more at the age of 12-ish, then give them access to smartphones.
Well, you know, that kind of delves into a whole nother issue. So when your child does get a smartphone, how do you put some boundaries up? Because you want them to have the freedom and the space and the privacy to be a kid and self-develop. But when do you step in as a parent, and should you be looking through your kid's phone?
I think you start off that way. I think you start off saying, I have every password. I'm going to look through your text at any time. This phone is something that is for public view, because that's what it is. That's what we're trying to teach kids. Everything that exists on there really does exist forever. And so one of the key things is that parents have to start that way, even if you trust your kid, because the kids will say, you don't trust me. And I think this is brand new for all of us. We're going to be as conservative as possible and then allow those, you know, freedoms later on when they've shown a lot more of that trust. Yes.
When it comes to social media, are there certain apps that you recommend and don't recommend? I know a lot of parents say you can have this one but not this one, or is it kind of at the discretion as we've been talking about?
Yeah, well, what I'm seeing is that the younger kids are starting off with Musical.ly a lot of times. They want to get to Snapchat. They think the filters are fun. But as soon as we start with Snapchat, this is where we start to see some of the darker things and the concerns. So when you talk about being a hot topic, this is something every single day in my practice I'm dealing with. So whether that's, you know, bullying, whether that's seeing something sexually explicit, whether that's just seeing the news and violence and things going around the country, you have to understand, parents have to understand that their kids are really being exposed to a lot that all of a sudden is totally out of their control.
And as parents, too, I mean, this is all new. We didn't grow up with phones.
Right.
You know, back when I was growing up, my parents were like, go outside and don't come home until it's dinner time.
Right.
But now kids have their devices. How do you put some restrictions on how much time should they be on their tablets or smartphones or devices?
The time part is huge. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, a big study came out of California talking about the link between possible addiction, ADHD, and smartphones. I think it's very real. I see it all the time, you know, that compulsive piece to do that. So parents have to put those monitors on, shut the Wi-Fi off at 9 o'clock, don't let them sleep with it in their rooms, and making sure that they know that this is about an hour or two a day, especially when you're starting off. And me saying that, most toddlers spend more than 1 or 2 hours a day at this point. 3-year-olds spend more time with that, and that's a real problem for brain development.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the curriculum is incorporated in smartphones and tablets these days too.
Yeah, so if you start from the morning, maybe TV time, to even time and at school, and then after school, it's hours and hours, 5, 6, 7 hours a day sometimes.
Great information and tips there. Dr. Ziegler, thank you. All right, let's get over to meteorologist Greg Dutra. New daddy?
Yes.
You're going to be dealing with this one.